And I'm gonna go to our repository, which is the project test, and then I have here how to call it, our repository. So I'm gonna open the codes, and then yeah, this is the fresh Ruby on Rails project. And then now what we're gonna do is to add some other layout using Bootstrap 5. Let's do that first, and then before we added the I will go to application.html.erb, and then I think I better copy paste on what I have in the other projects so we can make it quick. So here I'm gonna add the CDN Bootstrap. So in the other series we will be creating those and from the scratch without CDN. So here I have the Bootstrap, and then what I'm gonna do is to add also, we will add the buffer for now. We will be using that in the model that we are planning to create in the future. So we have in here now. So, and now I'm gonna create a Rails G scaffold. I'm gonna add the scaffold, and then we will do a project, and then on that project, which is the table, we will be adding the content, which is the column. I'm gonna put the string, and then we will put add vote, which is you can vote on the project, and then I will put integer. And then once it's done, it will create a template that I'm discussing from the beginning. So we have here the informations of the migrations, what is in the what gonna have in the table, and then which is the content and the vote. And then we will have here the test, that we can use the test in the future video. And then we have here the controller, which is the project, and then the views we already created here, which is nice also. It's auto-generated for us, so we don't need to build from the scratch. And then at the same time the JS builder and so on. So first thing here, I will go to check if it's working. So I have here the projects, so I'm gonna create a root. So I will go here and then click the project. So this is the project, which is this one, and then so we can see that the root or the landing page is on the index of that project, which is this one. So in here we can start the Hotwire, and then now what we're gonna do is to check how it's going on the UI part. So here I'm gonna type localhost, and then here we need to add migrations. We kind of forgot, so I'm gonna add this one, Rails DB, and create DB migrate. So yeah, so once it's done, it's created, but we missed something. So what we're gonna do is go back again to migration, Rails and DB migration, and then status. So I forgot something to add in the voting, that it will be default as a 0. Migrate, DB migrate status. So Rails DB migrate status, migrate. Yeah, let's do that. Rails. And then once I click in here, I'm gonna put it down for the meantime. What you can do also when you have a mistake in migration, this is how you're gonna do it. So Rails and DB migrate down, and then you can put version is equals to. That's the beauty of it, that we can see what is going on. If I made mistake, we can solve it. So here we can revert the migrations, and then I can go back to here. Let's go to the codes, and then go to the DV, and then go here, and then we will be adding in the vote, which is the integer that we put, is we will be adding default as 0. I can save, and then I will type Rails DB migrate, and then we have now the the migration, which is, if you can look in here, is default as 0. So it will start always to 0 and 1, 2, and so on. Okay, so that was it for that, and then now we can look in our application if it is working now. So here we can see that we have a project. It's kind of ugly, it's big, but we are not focusing on the design. We are focusing how the functionality of work in Hotwire. So once I created the project here, first project, and I can put vote for now, and then create, and then this is our project. So we have the first project, which is the content. Now we're gonna make it a little bit more clear in terms of the eyes. So what we're gonna do is go back to the projects, and then let's go to the index. So let's say later we will not gonna be using this one, so let's make it this small a bit in this one. So put 5, and then now you can see that there's a project automated in the on the template. We will not gonna use that fully later. And yeah, what we're gonna do here is to add a card. So to make it a little bit nice, we can add in here that card. And then I forgot the card body, we can add also in here. And then we can do like this for the meantime until we are doing. So you have in here is the project, and you can show. So what we're gonna do now is to add the first form. So instead of you need to go to click this one, go to another page, which is the project that you will just print the form in here on the index page. So what I'm gonna do here is to add the form, or render the form, form. So I'm gonna put here form, and then I'm gonna put add project. So yeah, and then let's see in here. So we are index. We need to go to controller, and then tell to controller, hey, we want to add this project in the index, and then the project we need to call as a new. So it will process in here and to create. So once we click this one, so we have now the form. So, but we don't want the vote like this, but we will align that later. So in this part, we will be removing in our form. I will go to the form and then remove this one for the meantime. Okay. So once I click in here, so we have here the content. I will change that content to, let's say, body. So let's see. So what we are missing here is style. Body, yeah, so we have a body in here, but yeah, it's kind of ugly, so we can remove this one and then put the space. So, and that is it for now. And then we can add, instead of text field, we can use text area. Okay, I think we are set now to make our hotwire. So what the first hotwire that we need to do is in here. Now once you click in here, instead of creating, it will be validate first if the content is empty. So what we're gonna do that is we're gonna go to the project and the model. Now we can say here, hey, you need to validate content, and then it must be presence. And then you will say true. And then now let's refresh. If we have a wrong, instead validates. So let's see, yeah, that's validates. So let's go back to the project, and once you click the create project, it will throw you an error. Hey, you cannot be content, the content must not be blank. So this is the one that we added. So now, since it's not part of the hotwire yet, what we're gonna do is to add in the form the hotwire. So how we're gonna do that is in the form is we need to add here the DOM ID, and then DOM ID, which is the project. So now we are using the DOM ID, so it can access via hotwire at the back end. Is we will be adding a frame on the form and the index. So here we have here the form. So we will tell, hey, we want you to put on the frame in the tag. So when there is a validation, instead of throwing like what you can see in here, is you have in the down part, which is the project that we already created. But once you create the project here, you will see here that it goes to the form itself, not on the index. So what we're gonna do now is to add a turbo frame tag, turbo frame tag, and then we can call it project, and since this form, we can call it form. And then what we're gonna do is to add in here do, and then we can closing tag. And then from here we can see now that there is a turbo frame on the form. So here you can see that is now inside the turbo frame. It's like in the form we put frame, and then we call it a project form. So every time there's a validations in here, so what's going to happen is it will return back the the form error, which is the validations. But now once we click it, what's happening is it cannot return back because we don't have the validations error that is streaming going back to the index. So now how we're gonna do that is, let's go to the project controller, And then in the project controller, we will be adding here the format, the turbo stream, and then I'm gonna remove this for now since we don't need the JSON. And then from here we can say turbo stream, and then we will be adding here, and then we will say render turbo stream, and then we can say turbo stream that replace, and then we will be adding here, we can say add project, local variable, and then partial, partial, I think that's partial, not partials, and then we will be accessing the project and the form. And then from here we can say locals, so we need to access the locals, and then we can say project, add project. So let's see if this is the right text, plural, singular. So here I will create a project, and then now what is the missing? Let's see in here. So it's a missing partial form, so there is a project, so this must be a project. So now you can see in here that the error is this one, template is missing, so it's given that it cannot see your template, which is the form that we are trying to target. So here I will create. So now you can see here that the form is re-rendering back to the index instead of going to the form itself. So it's like you have a frame, and then from that frame you call the form, and then back again using re-rendering using the turbo stream. So it replaces the form, and then back again the form using this form, and then send back the error to the index. So that's the beauty of the Hotwire. So the user will not bother in terms of loading different kind of page, or yeah. So now we will move on to create project test. So once we created in here, you can see once we created, is still going, our form is gone, because once we process the create, it will it will disappear the form, because what is happening is it is calling again the table. So in able to do that, we will stream the Hotwire to the projects, and then we will create another frame inside the table, so to loop. So we're gonna do that, and then yes, so I'm gonna close this one, and then here, so we will be adding the streaming. So turbo instead of frame tag, we can use the stream from projects. We call it projects, and then from here, instead of using this one, we will not gonna use that, and then let's use the turbo frame tag, and then call it projects, and then it will stream in here, and then we will be adding in here, and then from here we will render the projects. That's the beauty of in Ruby on Rails, and that it will collect they call it garbage collector, or how do you say that? So it will collect in here that the projects, the variables to in here. So instead of calling to the specific file, you just need to call the variables, so and it automatically called to you. That's the beauty in Rails also, as I found this interesting. Another frame, which is we will be calling in here, because this is for the specific project, meaning a specific record, like what you see in here. If you can go back in here, back to project, this is the one that's specific for the record, or the row in the table. So what we're gonna do here is to add a turbo frame tag. We call it project. We call it DOM ID, and then project, and then do, and then we can end in here. And then once it's done on that one, we can add in here to the project, so it can stream from the index, this one, and it call in here in the turbo frame tag, and it will update automatically. So once we created the record here, it will pop up in here instead of disappearing this form. So that is what we are trying to achieve now. So we have a project, turbo frame tag, and then here we can add the two parts, which is after let's say commit for the meantime, then broadcast, I think that's singular, and prepend to, and then projects. And then from that, we need to edit this one. This must be, I think this must be a update. Sorry, I think this, oh yeah, this is replace. And then this one is, we call it create, because we will create that one. And then here we're gonna call it update, and this is the prepend. So what's happening is when you created the project, the record, it will broadcast to the project, and when you update, it will broadcast to the file that's given in how do you call it, in what we are doing in here in the streaming. So now let's see what is the missing. I think the controller, let's see in here. So it will go back to the project, which is this is show. So we're gonna change this as a projects, projects, and that path. That path. I have an issue on my keyboard because I'm using, then reload this one. And then here Rails G, routes, Rails routes, last G, we call it project or projects. So we can see here the project, so that's correct, projects path. So once we are done in here, let's see our project, test one, and then it must go up here in here. So this is the one. So let's make it nice a little bit. So what we're gonna do here is to add a what are we gonna add in here? We can add a nice, at least card, like what I showed to you on the other repository that we can add in here. We can add here the div, and then card, and then card body, card body. So in the card body, we will add this one, and then from that we will be adding to make it nice. So we're gonna have a content in the front. We can remove the title of the content. So, and then we will be adding here that deflex, and then justify content between, and then we will be adding this two part, yeah, and then this one, and then we can, yeah, we can wrap this one as this one, and then this one, yeah. So yeah, and then yeah, and then refresh. So we have in here, so we can see the vote is ugly in here, so we can remove that one. So, and now let's do this one to put it down. So we have in spacing, so spacing first project. Let's remove that new project because we already have the form. So now I think this is almost there. So we have a projects, create, then it's working. Let's go to the Safari, and we can refresh this one, though this is now, we can have project from Safari. As you click, it is streaming in here, and we can see on the lags here that we are streaming using the turbo, which is the Hotwire. So once we create it in here, we can see that, where is that? Once we block create, and then it create in here, and then it passes to that one, and then it will redirect to the project. So this is our creations that is streamed. And then from that, it will prepend the new project. What we're gonna do now is to test again, Rails C, and then let's remove everything, project, and that destroy, and that all. Okay. So I think I need to refresh this one or reload, so it will stream properly. So because sometimes you need to stream properly, reload, create, content, new project. Okay, so we have here now the new project without refreshing the page. So now this is done in the first episode, and the next episode we will be adding here the edit that you can edit in here instead of the next page, and then we will be adding the vote, and then we will be adding the destroy, so you know how to use the destroy button, that it will pop up. So it will not just automatically destroy, but it will pop up the confirmations for the user that he is trying to destroy the project. So that is the next episode that we are going to do. So we have now the build codes that we can work on. Okay, see you guys, and thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.